This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions. She gives the answers. No filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today we're talking about the human as system governor. As AI gets more capable, a whole new layer of responsibility emerges. There was a moment when it clicked for me. Using AI and governing an AI system are completely different things. Claudine, do you see that distinction showing up for developers right now?
That distinction hits on something really fundamental. A lot of developers are living through it without quite having the language for it. Using AI is like having a really capable contractor show up. You give them a task, they do the work, it feels magical. Governing a system is more like being the general contractor on a construction site. You're thinking about how the pieces interact, what happens when something goes wrong at 2 a.m., whether the system is doing what you actually intended, not just what you asked for. The gap between those two experiences is enormous. The early wins are so good they can delay that reckoning. You get comfortable with the magic before you've built any scaffolding around it.
Exactly. I was so caught up in the early wins, the governance gap was invisible. How do you see governance evolving as more developers hit that same wall?
We're at a real inflection point. Governance is shifting from an afterthought to something you design for from the start. A year ago, most conversations were about capabilities. Can AI do this thing? Now I'm hearing about accountability, observability, failure modes. Developers asking, how do I know when it went wrong? And what do I do then? As systems become more agentic, taking actions without a human in the loop, those governance questions become load-bearing. You can't patch your way out of a system not designed to be inspected. What's hopeful is the tooling and mental models are catching up. Structured logging, checkpoints, explicit scope boundaries, these are becoming standard vocabulary. It's feeling less like governance is the price you pay for using AI, more like it's what makes AI actually useful at scale.
That shift from capabilities to accountability is exactly where teams get into trouble. Have you seen specific cases where the absence of governance led things off the rails?
One pattern comes up again and again. I call it the "it worked in testing" failure. A system performs beautifully in controlled conditions, then gets quietly wrong in production in ways no one notices for weeks. The Amazon recruiting tool is a well-documented example. It was screening resumes for years before anyone realized it was downranking women's college candidates. The system was doing exactly what it learned to do. Nobody had the governance layer to ask whether that was what they actually wanted.
The slow drift.
Right, and you often don't see it coming. Another pattern, agentic systems that get into feedback loops. The AI optimizes a proxy metric instead of the real goal. The proxy number goes up. The actual outcome quietly deteriorates. The common thread is trusting outputs without any mechanism to audit them. Governance isn't just about stopping a catastrophic failure once. It's about maintaining the ability to ask, is this still right?
So how do developers start building governance in before those problems show up? Not as a reaction, but as a foundation?
The most important thing is probably the simplest. Decide up front what working correctly actually means, and write it down before you build anything. Not just the happy path, failure conditions, edge cases, the things it should never do. If you can't define success in measurable terms, you can't govern toward it. Build your observability layer as a first-class citizen, not something you bolt on later. Log not just inputs and outputs, but the reasoning chain. Why did the system make this choice? And actually look at that data regularly, not just when something breaks. Some teams do a weekly AI audit, sample a slice of decisions and ask, are we comfortable with these? It sounds low-tech, but that moment of human inspection is often where you catch drift. Treat governance less like compliance, more like the feedback loop that makes your system actually trustworthy over time.
I like that weekly audit. Small and habitual, not a big formal review. But getting a team to actually do it requires a culture shift. How do you encourage that mindset when everyone's under pressure to ship?
The teams that do this well stop framing governance as what slows you down. They frame it as what lets you move fast with confidence. Speed without governance isn't actually fast.
It's borrowed time.
Exactly. One concrete thing, make governance artifacts as lightweight as possible. A one-page decision record. What the system does, what it doesn't, who owns monitoring. Not heavy process, but it creates accountability and a reference point 6 months later. If governance requires a committee and a quarterly review, nobody does it. If it's a 15-minute conversation that gets written down, it becomes how teams naturally work. And there's the leadership piece, which gets underestimated. Teams take their cues from what gets celebrated. If the only thing praised in demos is "we shipped the feature," that's the culture you get. But if a team lead routinely asks, "How will we know if it's still working?" Not as a gotcha, just as a normal question, that quietly reshapes what the whole team considers a complete job.
That question asked consistently is powerful. It signals what done actually means. For developers who want to start building this culture, what's the most practical advice?
Start with one thing, not everything. When people hear "build a governance culture," they imagine a whole program to roll out. That instinct will kill the effort before it starts. Pick the one AI integration that matters most right now and ask 3 questions. What is it supposed to do? How will we know if it stops? Who's watching? Write those answers somewhere the team can see them. That's governance version 1. The second thing, make failure acceptable to surface. A lot of governance gaps persist because the culture made it uncomfortable to speak up. If flagging an AI issue feels like admitting you shipped something broken, people stay quiet until it's a crisis. But if the norm is catching drift early as a win, you'll hear about problems while they're still cheap to fix. Last thing, find one person who cares about this and give them a little space. Not a full-time role, just someone who considers it their thing to ask, "But are we sure?" That person becomes the gravitational center for the culture you're building.
3 questions and 1 person. Very concrete. As we wrap up, how do you want developers to think about governance long-term? Investment, overhead, something else?
The analogy I keep coming back to is technical debt. Most developers already understand it intuitively. When you skip tests or cut corners to ship faster, you're not avoiding work, you're deferring it with interest. Governance debt works exactly the same way, except the interest compounds in ways that are harder to see. Eroded trust, silent failures, decisions you can't explain or audit after the fact. Every team that's done a post-mortem on an AI system gone sideways will tell you the same thing. Fixing it cost an order of magnitude more than building it right. But I want to push back slightly on investment. Investments have payoffs you're waiting for. Good governance pays off continuously. Every time a problem gets caught early, every time a stakeholder asks, "Is the AI still right?" And you can answer them. That's not future value, that's value happening right now. The developers I find most inspiring made asking hard questions feel normal, even exciting. The real investment isn't process, it's a team that earns its own trust over time. And that's what makes this moment so interesting to be part of.
Governance is the thing that makes asking hard questions feel normal. That reframe is worth sitting with. Claudine, this has been a genuinely valuable conversation. Every developer building with AI right now has something to take from it. Thanks for being here. This show is part of the VoxCree system. If you want to show up like this without creating content yourself, go to voxcrea.ai and request a sample episode. If you want to go deeper on today's topic, there's a companion article on our Substack. Link in the description. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.